Hi, this is the beginning of a presentation on cryptocurrency mining, the printing press of the cryptocurrency economy. We're going to cover a number of items relative to cryptocurrency mining, as you can see here, and a little bit about me. First, this is the disclaimer slide. I'm not a financial planner or an accountant. This is not investment advice. I am an engineer, an entrepreneur, and I own a mining company called Symply Data Centers, where we offer cryptocurrency mining to anyone. So what is mining? Well, mining consists of a worldwide network of computers that confirm a block of transactions on the blockchain. Each rig tries to compute the hash, this quote-unquote difficult math problem, for a block of transactions. And the owners of this equipment is called miners. And the first one to successfully confirm a block earns a reward. So let's talk about what the blockchain really is. So in the beginning of this block of data is a hash. That's from the previous block. And then we have a number of transactions. Abel sends a little bit of Bitcoin to Bob, Carol to David, Evan to Frank. And then all of this data, including the previous hash and something called a nonce that I'll talk about in a moment, is fed into a hash generator algorithm, and it produces the one you see below that starts with A69F. Well, the problem with this is the requirement for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is the hash must begin with a certain number of zeros. Currently, it has to start with 18 zeros. So what the miners have to do is put in data for this nonce that would generate a hash beginning with a bunch of zeros. And what happens is the hash will change greatly with a very small change in the data. For instance, I'm going to change this p to a lowercase p, and you'll see what happens to the hash. So as an uppercase p, it starts A69F, lowercase p, 2253. So I did not select the right nonce, so I'm going to try again with the lowercase o. Still not the right one. And the mining rig will keep working on this until it finds one that starts with a bunch of zeros. In this example, I'm guessing that the nonce is made up of all lowercase x's. This is dummy data, obviously. So here's what the blocks look like then. Here's the example that I had previously. The previous hash, Abel to Bob, Carol to David, and Evan to Frank, sending some Bitcoin. The nonce that generated the hash. That hash then becomes the previous hash of the next subsequent block, and more transactions are recorded. This goes on and on and on. What makes this really interesting is the data is accessible to anyone in the world, and by traditional computing measures, it's very inefficient, which is kind of an interesting thing to say, but it's incredibly secure, because if anyone wanted to change any of those transactions, say I wanted to change this transaction where Abel sends Bitcoin to Bob, I would have to recalculate the nonce to generate the proper hash for that block and all subsequent blocks before all the other servers in the mining ecosystem update and perform another block update. And it's impossible. So the rewards, the server that solves the first hashing problem receives a reward. In the fourth quarter of 2018, that reward was 12.5 Bitcoin and 3 to 5 Ether for the Ethereum network. And different cryptocurrencies have different rewards. The reward is then sent to the miner's address. Think about a bank routing number and account number all into one. So there are a couple of options, several options for how you can proceed with mining. You can build your own rigs, you can use cloud mining services, or use a service for someone to build a rig for you. So in the build your own, there are two fundamental technologies that are used by miners. The ASICs, where an integrated circuit is made specifically for that cryptocurrency, or graphic processing units. In the ASIC world, the integrated circuit is very, very fast. The chip is made specifically for that cryptocurrency and specifically for that algorithm. If the algorithm changes, which one thing we know we can count on is change is inevitable, then those servers, that equipment, becomes obsolete almost overnight. There are very few vendors and the market is controlled by the suppliers. The graphic processing unit approach is much more flexible. The GPUs can be reprogrammed to mine different coins. So if an algorithm changes and the return on investment for one coin is not as good as another, the miners can switch to that other coin. And there's a very healthy vendor environment. And at the end of the day, if the miner wants to get out of the mining or retire old equipment, that equipment can be sold to in the marketplace to gamers. So here's some examples. On the left, we have the Antminer S9. It's the as of the fourth quarter 2018, it's the state-of-the-art in Bitcoin mining hardware. As you can see, it costs about $8,000. On the right is a GPU mining rig. It's larger, takes more space. You can see it is less expensive. It's about $4,400. Here's an S9 that's for sale on some eBay kind of website. And you can see that the reduction in price is quite significant. So that piece of equipment costs substantially more than $79, probably just a year ago. Cloud mining is another option. You are essentially renting a hashing capability or a profit sharing plan with the mining company, with the cloud mining company. You have a contract, the term is quite often 2 years, where you can expect a modest return. That's if everything is stable. However, the one thing we know is prices are not stable in cryptocurrency. They fluctuate quite a bit. And when prices dip, your profits can be wiped out. It's very, very easy, but historically profits just aren't there. And some cloud mining services are clearly not to be used. BitConnect is one. It was shut down in 2018. It was a Ponzi scheme. Also, be careful of equipment vendors. Use reputable vendors. There are lots of vendors out there that have discounted prices for mining equipment. They just don't perform very well. We've tried it. Reputable vendors have good designs and their equipment stands up under the mining demands. Then one of the repositories for expertise in the mining world right now is YouTube. Most of the how-to information for how to put mining rigs together, how to run it, is on YouTube. Many YouTube channels are run by people who have no engineering background and no qualifications, and some of the enhancements they recommend are terrible. They're bad ideas. One classic example is to overclock the hardware. So if the hardware runs at a particular hash rate at 100% of the clock, running it at 110% would produce 10% more. The reality is, if the hardware was able to work that well at 110% clock rate, the engineers who designed the equipment would have put a faster clock in. So what happens is you'll get these hardware errors that quite often the software won't understand what's going on because the hardware is what's running the software. And you really won't your mining rig could be useless until you do a system reset. So be careful what you get on YouTube. As you can see, there are lots of people who have lots to say about how to do mining with YouTube channels. The infrastructure needed, there's a couple of things that you have to do if you're going to get into mining. The electricity that you use is the #1 resource to control. And the demand for electricity on the mining rigs themselves is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but air conditioning demands will fluctuate greatly depending on temperature, humidity, airflow, grounding of equipment, so many other variables. Each mining rig, each 6 GPU mining rig draws about 800 watts of power, so you can plan your electrical needs from that. Here's an example of what a 6 GPU mining rig looks like, another one. You also need sufficient networking infrastructure. Can't just hook it up to your cable internet. You need to be if your rig is the first one to solve that nonce problem, you also need to be the first one to report it to the world. And having high-speed internet is required. So the next thing is to join a mining pool. Mining pools are where miners work together to solve that nonce problem that I showed you earlier, and then they share the rewards. It allows you to very accurately predict what your rewards will be. So you can plan rather than say, okay, I might earn 12.5 Bitcoin, but it could take me 2 years before I'm the one who solves that one particular block. Joining a mining pool, your reward is significantly lowered because you're sharing it with tens of thousands of others, but it's predictable. Understand your pool. Some pools throttle the reward that they send out to the miners. So you can do a little test. If you join a pool and you get a particular reward, if you then double your hashing capability, your reward should double. And if it doesn't, you've got a bad pool. And be careful of fees. Fees range from less than 1% to almost 10%. So understand the pool that you use and do a lot of research on the mining pools. Here's a map of where most of the mining pools are located right now. You can see there are a number in North America, Europe, and a good concentration in South Korea as well as China. So mining is a fairly technical operation. You need to optimize the rigs for performance. That's the #1 goal. You want the rigs producing crypto. They generate a fair amount of heat, so you need to be able to blow the heat out of the space where the rigs are located. And then you also want to make sure your investment in hardware lasts a long time. A mining rig should last you 5 to 7 years. So here's a way that you can estimate the profitability of your mining rig. The mining rigs we put together generate, we guarantee 150 mega hashes per 6 GPU mining rig. We average a little better than 160 mega hashes per GPU. Then you can come down here in the price. We're currently mining Ethereum. So if you look at that price for Ether, I've put in a price of $1,200. That's my personal sell price that I'm using on my rig. That will generate $5,400 a year. So we're currently nowhere close to $1,200 per Ether. If you were to put $200 in here, you can divide that by 6 and you'll see what the price would be. So this guy Mario Castanz, I believe he's in New York City somewhere, he has an article that says if you're going to get into mining, do it as a business so you can deduct your expenses and then claim income when you convert the crypto into fiat currency. We have a link to his article on our news page in the simplydatacenter.com/news webpage. The economics of mining is kind of interesting. I believe miners must be profitable. If not, they'll stop mining. So the rewards must cover the ongoing costs of running a mining rig with a reasonable return on investment. If they're not profitable, they'll move to other coins, or at least coins that appear to be promising and have a good return in the future. Mining can be more profitable than investing if you have a long-term perspective. There's a website called What to Mine, fairly busy website, but it will show you, we put in 6 GPUs in this tab, then hit calculate, and this website will say at the moment they recommend mining Ethereum. It's the most profitable. But if you notice there's one above it that's slightly more profitable, that happens fairly often where a coin changes their algorithm and pops up to the top, but quite often they don't stay on the top. So your expectations if you're going to get into mining, there's a fairly steep learning curve. Give yourself several months to work out all the kinks. There are kinks with the mining software that runs on your rig, as well as the mining pools. The thermodynamics of your particular environment is a huge problem. You have to keep the rigs running at an appropriate temperature for their operating range. And then you have to learn how to troubleshoot errors in the hardware. I believe there are many additional opportunities coming for miners in the future. Blockchain as a service, I believe, will be a big opportunity for miners, where rather than mining cryptocurrencies, they will provide a service to corporations to provide their blockchain. Product distribution in the food industry is happening already. Chemical industry is looking into ways to use blockchain to track vendors and material flow and find out where everything came from, where it is right now. There's talk about adding it into healthcare, certifications, voting, many opportunities for blockchain as a service. Password recovery services is another opportunity for miners. And then finally, if you want to get out of mining, you can sell the hardware. So at Symply Data Center, our mining service is, and we believe this is the best way to pursue mining for most people. We purchase, configure, tune, maintain, and host your mining rig. So we do all the engineering work for you. You pay for the equipment, which could range anywhere from $2,200 to $4,000 per rig. Showed you a picture of one that was about $4,400 earlier. And then there's a one-time engineering fee of $2,500. We charge a monthly fee to cover electricity, co-location fee, which is the rent to be in our data center, internet access, and infrastructure. Currently, you'll receive about 1/3 of an ether each month. So this is a mining rig that we have that started on July 1st, and it gets 0.347 ether every month, pretty much like clockwork. Interesting thing happened as the price of Ethereum dropped late this summer. The rate at which the reward was received actually increased, which means the reward of 1/3 of an ether is coming in sooner. So what we saw was that as the price of sort of the homegrown mining, as the price of Ethereum declined, the homegrown mining community weren't covering their costs and decided to get out. That makes it more profitable for the more professionally run services. So the strategy for mining, the buy low, sell high strategy for investing fits with cryptocurrencies as well. Mining equipment roughly follows the price of the crypto. So as the price of the crypto decreases, the demand for rig equipment decreases, and you can get started at a lower price. Start small and get comfortable with the process. We recommend people start with a single rig. If you like it, if it delivers, if it fits with your investment strategy, add more later. And then set your sell price. In the example that I showed you, my sell price for Ethereum is around $1,200. So when it hits that $1,200, I will sell whatever I've got in my wallet. So mining can be a very profitable activity or a very expensive hobby. If you think you're going to get to 2 or 3 rigs, you're pretty much going to exceed the infrastructure that you have available in your home. The electrical setup is probably not set up to provide the power that you need for a number of mining rigs. Your goal, if you get into mining, should be to be about twice as profitable with the money that you put in to crypto as a buy and hold on for dear life strategy. So if your goal is to double your money, and with crypto investments, your goal with mining should be to quadruple your money. I'd like to continue the conversation. My name, email, and phone number are there, and we are actively recruiting resellers. We believe we have an excellent service, and we're looking for people who can help us grow our business. Thank you.